the way to break free from all unhealthy patterns is awareness. You
Mhm.
have to be aware. Like once you have the awareness, you actually have a choice. You have a choice to sit and be uncomfortable, or to just react instinctually to the world. And that's where the yoga and the mindfulness, there's a huge crossover when it comes to healthy dating. Because you have to have this ability to observe yourself, recognize, okay, my instinctual reaction is this, which is very unhealthy. I'm going to override this, and I'm choosing sit on my hands and be really uncomfortable with this, but override it. And that is how you rewire your brain in for everything, really. It is the ability to sit with that discomfort.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nourished Inside Out. Today I'm here with Nina. She was born and raised in Denmark and moved to England in her 20s, where she graduated law school. She's taught yoga, breathwork, and mindfulness all over the world, and she has written for major fitness magazines and worked with Start Today for the Today Show. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nina.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Do you mind telling us about your journey of growing up in Denmark and moving to England, how that process was?
I grew up in like the tiniest place, like 1,200 people in the middle of nowhere in Denmark. And I always had this kind of yearning for something bigger. As soon as I graduated high school, I moved to Copenhagen and lived there for a hot minute. And then I moved to London. Whilst living in London, I started working for a law firm. And I thought, I think I can study law. I should do that.
Yeah.
I got into university in Bristol in England, and I studied law there. And then, which I love, by the way, I love studying law. Once I started working, I kind of realized that although I love studying it, it wasn't actually my thing. Then, combined with that, I met an American man and we lived in England, and we kind of just thought, let's move to California. So we did that, and I've never looked back. I had kids and I changed my career into yoga, mindfulness, and writing.
What was that turning point for you from going from law to going into yoga and writing full time? Because that's also a giant leap of faith. So, can you tell us a
Giantly.
little bit about that?
I found yoga when I was studying law, and I immediately loved it. And I realized that I actually like I lived my whole life in the middle of an anxiety attack. Uh, Looking back on it, I know, oh my God, I had severe anxiety. I was having like a 10-year panic attack, really. Yoga taught me to breathe for the first time in my life, and taught me to truly relax and let things go. And I learned to observe myself through that, observe my reaction to the world. Becoming a yoga teacher, it kind of felt just right and felt natural. I had two kids, but I was also supported in a marriage to make a career switch like that. It was a natural course for my life, I think. I never really thought about it as super risky.
That's incredible. I think that's really powerful and really bold of you to take that leap of faith and leave what most people would look at as a really stable job and a really stable career. And I'm not saying that yoga and writing isn't stable, but I don't think it's looked at as that.
It's not. It's not.
I get it. I was a dancer, and I think for a ballet dancer for like
Oh
11
my
years.
gosh.
That was my dream. And people are like, it's not stable. I'm like, really? I'm pretty sure it is. So I
Oh.
understand. So, like, when it comes to writing, what do you typically like to write about? What genres and what audiences do you like to reach when you write?
Well, I obviously write about yoga, I write about longevity and all that. I've written for fitness magazines over the years and blogs. Last year, decided to write a book about online dating. And it was just from my own experiences. I realized I had a knack for it. And my friends started asking me advice, and then friends, friends, and friends, friends, friends. And I finally just thought, I'm going to put it all into a easy to read little book for people. And I did. My first book was published about a year ago called Fuck Kissing Frogs.
I love the name of the title. Where did the name of the book come from?
It actually came from a brainstorming session. A friend of my partner's I had a conversation with him, and he's a marketing guy, and we're just brainstorming, and we both swear a lot. We're both kind a little out there. And he actually came up, it's like fuck kissing frogs. And I was like, yes, that would be hilarious. So that's how we ended up on that one.
I think that really catches attention though, because that really catches my attention. Because then, I don't know, when I first saw your book and I saw Fuck Kissing Frogs, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Like, why frogs, you know?
Why do we keep repeating our patterns when it comes to dating? Yes.
Absolutely. I know you and I talked a little bit about patterns in dating and relationships. And something that you were telling me about was dating ages. Can you explain a
Yes.
little bit more about what that means and how people can apply that?
It's something that people just need to be aware of. And the dating age is basically if you have been in a relationship for a long time, and you might have done all this like personal healing, getting some therapy, working with your childhood traumas and all that. But once you are thrown into dating again, you should be aware that you will most likely be thrown right back to the last time that you were single, like mentally
Mhm.
dating. So if you are in your 40s and you just got a divorce and you start dating again, and you've been married since you were 22, be aware that your patterns and your reactions are most likely going to be that of the 22-year-old self that you were. If you got anxious attachment disorders, I said, it'll come right back, even though that you've been taking care of yourself and healing your traumas. Most likely you're going to go right back into your old patterns, simply because the dynamic of a dating situation is so different from anything else. So the tendency is to just go back to your old unhealthy patterns.
How do you help people break free from those when you work with people? Do you offer courses, guidance? What do you do to help them break free from it?
The way to break free from all unhealthy patterns is awareness. You
Mm.
have to be aware that once you have the awareness, you actually have a choice. You have a choice to sit and be uncomfortable, or to just react instinctually to the world. And that's where the yoga and the mindfulness, there's a huge crossover when it comes to healthy dating, because you have to have this ability to observe yourself, recognize, okay, my instinctual reaction is this, which is very unhealthy. I'm going to override this, and I'm choosing sit on my hands and be really uncomfortable with this, but override it. And that is how you rewire your brain in for everything, really. It is the ability to sit with that discomfort.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you for sharing that. Going back to your book, you said that your book is mainly about online dating these days. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen in online dating, whether it's personal experience or from friends that have come to you? What are some of the biggest challenges?
I think some of the biggest challenges is not consciously dating overall. I would say not
Mm.
consciously understanding what you're looking for and then picking accordingly. We are so good at getting on these apps and just randomly swiping and clicking on anything that looks cute. This is another super important thing. The dating app is an algorithm.
Mm.
So if you keep just clicking on people just because, oh, that one looks cute, okay, instead of very consciously knowing what you're looking for, y- the algorithm is going to keep showing you people like that. And then you're going to be complaining down the road. It's like there are no good men out there or no good women out there. It's like, no, no, no. It's because you have trained your algorithm to only show you these people who are not what you're looking for, really. When it comes to picking, we have to get really clear with ourselves what are needs and what are nice to haves. And most people have a tendency to get really distracted by the nice to haves and sacrificing the needs. And the needs is a very short list generally. So, for example, if you are a woman in your 30s, what you really want is you want to get married and have kids. A guy open to have kids. That's a need. That is like a deal breaker for you. Let's say you need somebody who's well educated. You want stimulating conversations. You want somebody that you can have your whole life with. So let's say well educated, wants kids. Those are two great needs.
Mhm.
Then you cannot sacrifice them for anything. They can be Brad Pitt or Timothy Chalamet or whoever you're into can be on that dating app. But if he doesn't have those two requirements, it is not for you. So don't get distracted by it. It's the same thing. If one of your nice to haves is, oh, I would love to have somebody who surfs because I surf. And then you go online and you see that guy with a surfboard. It's like, he's a surfer, distracted from your needs. And you click on that, but he's not the guy you're looking for.
Mm.
So again, then you're just filling your inbox with people who are not actually for you.
Yeah, that's really valid. I like how you said it's like put it into two categories. What do you want and what do you need? Or nice to have, like you said, your
Yeah,
needs and
yeah.
nice to haves, because a lot of times it's personality is the thing that drives the most longevity versus just looks or a pretty face. So when
Right.
it
And it doesn't mean doesn't mean we have to be like, oh, I'm gonna go and date Shrek. It's nobody's saying that. There still has to be an attraction to the person, but it shouldn't be in the needs categories. Like if somebody's like you find them relatively attractive, I think that's great, but it's just not the only thing that matters. And don't sacrifice looks over needs. Never sacrifice the needs over anything.
Yeah, that's so true. That's really great advice. I want to talk a little bit about situationships. I feel like we live in a situationship kind of generation. For somebody who is actively looking and they're on multiple dating apps, but they keep finding themselves in the cycle of situationships, how can they start to break free from that or start to find what they're actually looking for?
I just hate the term situationship. I'm just kind of like, what is with people? You're either dating, getting to know somebody, and if you dating and getting to know somebody and you like them, then be in a relationship. I just like that kind of intermediate gray area. I hate, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to be really honest with what you're looking for. And it is a concept of when you're dating. I think our egos want as many people as possible to swipe on us or react to our profile. And we need to step away from that because that's just making your own job harder of finding somebody. We're throwing out a fishing line, we're not throwing out a net. So we actually want to use the app to get as many people to look at your profile and be like, that is not for me, because that's great. Then you are not going to waste my time. So I
Mm.
think if you're looking for a relationship, make that clear in your profile. To make that, I would say in my dating profile, I am not looking for a situationship. I'm looking to get to know somebody and that ultimately leading to a grown ass relationship. And you can say that with cheek, you can say it in a funny, inviting way. It doesn't have to be like, I often think if you get so, if you end up sounding super negative on your dating app, that is a huge turnoff. But you can verbalize that to be light and funny and real. Um, I remember on my own back when I was dating, my own profile said I'm looking for emotional intimacy. Basically, like if you are
Mm.
not ready to be emotionally intimate, I'm not interested. That simple. um and it was said light and funny, but I meant it. You have to set up your profile to be honest, and if that means some people are turned off by your profile, that is great, because you don't want to waste your time with them anyway.
That's really great advice. I like what you said about when you had your profile once upon a time. You want someone to be emotionally intimate. I think a lot of times these days we overuse the word emotionally unavailable. Some things I don't understand is if two people click, they're going on dates and things are going well, why are they scared to commit?
This is a problem with online dating. It is the too many choices out
Mm.
there. And it kind of fucks with your head that you get if you getting too much into the swiping, the online dating, and you get into a state where you are unconsciously always looking for the next best thing. Is there something green on the other side? And you're afraid to commit because you're afraid of making the wrong choice. Because, oh, well, maybe I should have chosen that one or that one or that one. Or maybe I should go back on the app and just keep my options open, keep my options open. And the problem is, as long as you keep your options open and as long as you are not committing, as long as you are scared of actually taking that step and diving into a relationship, you will never find what you're looking for. It's that simple. And that's the problem with today's dating, which is why in my book I recommend like dating like a ninja. You're in and out. When you are on your app, you only have your app open to go in, you find some matches, you set up maybe 2 or 3 dates, and then you pause. You pause that app, you don't go on the app, you do nothing on the app, you pause your profile, and then you go on those 2 or 3 dates. You find out, is this something I want to investigate further? And that might be a yay or nay. And it's not until those people turned out to be, that's not for me. Okay, well, then you can go back onto the app and in like a ninja, find some people you'll find interesting. And then again, you pause, you're out. If we linger on the apps, that's when we create this inability to make a decision.
Yeah, that's really great advice on doing it like a ninja, in and out. Don't spend too much time. I remember when I was like on dating apps once upon a time, I would limit myself a time. Like, I understand
Mhm.
that like you can't control when you're gonna meet somebody, but I feel like it can also go down a rabbit hole with swiping left and right and left and right. So I'd always
Yeah.
tell myself, like, I'll give myself 1 week. And if I don't meet anyone on here, it's fine. Just give myself like a break for a week. And then if I really want to go back to it, then I can try it for another week. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that. And I think that it is so important. And it's also, it kind of goes over in the area of when you dating, if you want to date in a healthy way and constructive way, you have to be happy with yourself being single. If
Mm,
you come in from a place of desperation, number one, you will automatically lower your standards, and it becomes more about the ego of somebody being interested in you and the need for attention than it becomes about actually finding a partner. So feel happy with yourself, and you can go on for a week and be like, meh, there was nothing there, I'm going to go off again and I can go back later. So when you feel good about yourself, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, it definitely starts with that relationship within yourself. If you're happy with yourself,
Yes,
then you'll be happy in a relationship. If you're not happy with yourself, you're just going to take that baggage with you, and that's not going to help anybody. I completely agree.
100%.
Yeah. When it comes to people being emotionally unavailable, how can people start to break out of that and break out of that bubble to make themselves more available emotionally for relationships?
It comes down to vulnerability, doesn't it? Vulnerability is scary for all of us. Ultimately, we're scared of being hurt. We're
Mm,
scared of having a broken heart. And the interesting thing about being hurt and having a broken heart is actually the idea, the thought of a broken heart is way more scary than actually having a broken heart.
mm,
You have to come to a place where you truly know within yourself that a broken heart or you having your feelings hurt is not going to kill you. It's not humiliating, because that's another one. I think it's a little bit of an ego thing, isn't it? We find it humiliating, like he didn't want me, he rejected me.
yeah.
That is so hard for us. And we need to get to a point where somebody rejected you. Well, that's a good thing, because then he's no longer wasting your time. You need to find the person who is for you, who is all about you. It's hard. It takes time. be strong enough to be vulnerable and put yourself out there. When I came out of my divorce, I was kind of like, you know what? Love is always worth it. And we have to understand that. It is like, it is worth it. A broken heart will not kill you. And there's always room for more love. There's always room to love again. So even if we've gotten hurt, it is a conscious effort. It's rewiring your brain by conscious decisions instead of just reacting to the world instinctively. You have to make that conscious decision of being vulnerable and put yourself out there. And because if you don't, you will absolutely not meet your match. You will not meet your person if you're not willing to be vulnerable. It's that clear. So then we can go around in circles and keep blaming the world for nobody being emotionally available. But when it's actually us who's not willing to be vulnerable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, completely valid. I agree. When you say that you got back into dating after your divorce, can you explain to us how you learned to be vulnerable again? Because that's a heartbreak too. And it didn't kill you, but at the end of the day, it is a heartbreak and it does require vulnerability later down the road. So, how was that process for you?
It's certainly it's been an ongoing process, actually. I came out from my divorce, and yes, it was absolutely heartbreaking, hard, and I took quite a lot of time to heal. And I got to a place where I felt really happy by myself. I remember telling a friend, I am okay if I don't actually expect getting big love like that again. And I'm actually okay with that. I feel very grateful that I got to experience that kind of big love. And the fact that it didn't last the rest of my life is okay. I got to experience it. And now I'm okay to start the rest of my life. And I'm okay without it. Of course, it turned out a few years later, I met even bigger love, which is awesome. But it left me in a place where, oh, I'm willing to take chances. And with that, it's a lot of healing, understanding your traumas and again, overriding those all those protective walls and instincts we've built up over the years to try and protect ourselves. It is a conscious effort to override those instincts, and they can be so, so deep, but it is catching yourself out. Whenever you put up a wall, it is noticing it and then choosing to break that wall down. And it takes work and it takes effort and it takes a lot of discomfort, but it's that self-awareness that will change your attitude to dating and life in general.
I think that's so beautiful how you said that. Even though after your divorce, you were married to this person, you had this love connection, and then so happened the divorce came along, and then you fell in love with yourself again. And I think that's so beautiful. It
Yes.
kind of goes back to what we were just talking about is being comfortable with who you are, because if you can't be comfortable with who you are by yourself, how can you be comfortable next to somebody who you just met or somebody that you would want to be in a potential relationship with? I went through a divorce myself, so like I can relate. It's not easy to be vulnerable right away, but I think once you start to fall in love with yourself, it's so much easier. Have you ever seen that picture where a little girl holding a one small teddy bear and someone's asking her to give it and she's like, "No, I don't want to," but behind the person's back they had a giant teddy bear. If you just let go of that little thing, that one flower, that one little teddy bear, something bigger and better will always come.
Yeah, I love that analogy. That's lovely. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You have to be willing to give and to be vulnerable to if you want to move in, if you want to level up, it takes effort. So, and I think a lot of people, they think it's just going to land on their doorstep. This perfect person is going to come riding on a white horse or whatever and fix them, actually fix them. A lot of people are hoping somebody's going to come along and fix them, fix all their traumas and
Yeah.
heal them. And the reality is the only person who can do that is you, and that takes effort. And with that, I want to point out, because I think it's easy to say, it's like, oh my God, you shouldn't be dating until you're completely healed, you dealt with everything. And that's not necessarily true. I think healing is this continual journey, and but be healthy in yourself, be happy in yourself. That is important. But the continuous healing, find a person who's also willing to be on that continuous healing journey. I still have issues that I need to release and deal with. So does my partner, but we're both really dedicated to that journey of continuing to be more vulnerable, continuing to looking into those deep dark wounds that we have. And so, and nobody's trying to fix anybody, by the way. We're doing it together, but it is an individual journey. My partner never expects me to fix him, and I never try to fix him, and vice versa.
I love that because I think that was one of like the biggest issues when I was in my marriage is that I always wanted to be the fixer, no matter
Yeah.
what. And it's like whatever problem came to the table, I was like, let me fix it. You know, that was the thing.
Yeah.
And something that I've learned along the way is I can help them, but I can't fix their problems for them. And they can help
No.
me, but they can't fix my problems for me. So, what advice would you give to somebody who is a constant fixer and constantly wants to fix the problems?
It's such a hard one to step out of. And by the way, like a lot of women, including myself, we want to fix them. Let me fix you. It's like being conscious of that it's like you cannot fix anyone. I think we're so good as women. We meet somebody and we see this awesomeness in a person, and we're like, oh my God, we get so fixated on that, and we ignore all those 1 million red flags that comes with this person where it's like, oh no, and we just kind of think we can fix that. That one's going to fix. I noticed this one awesome thing in this person, and we just deep dive and we build all these like mirages with that person. I was like, oh, he is this perfect person, I can fix him. A friend recently who was in a relationship with somebody that, by the way, I hated. He was a prick. Would be an argument, and she would say, yes, but I mean, he apologizes to me. He knows that he did wrong. He knows he's got these traumas that he needs to fix. Well, he's just saying the words. He's not acknowledging anything, because if he acknowledged anything, he would actually change his behavior. So
Yeah.
that's not acknowledging anything. That's just saying words to you that you want to hear. I mean, she's out of it now. Thank God. She kept on for a while having this notion is, oh no, there is this great thing in it, and like this is really good about him, and he just needs to change like his whole attitude to the world. But small detail. And we're so good as at women at just building up these mirages in our head with like, I just need to fix that for him, I can help him heal, I can make him a better person. And no, you cannot. And you have to understand that.
Yeah, that's such great advice. We can't fix other people. So, going
No.
back to your experience of from getting married and then going through a divorce and then getting back into the dating world, what are some healthy and unhealthy things that are in relationships that you've either experienced yourself or seen from your friends personally?
I always consider jealousy a huge red flag. I understand if you're in a relationship and you were talking to somebody, chatting online, let's say, with if you're DMing somebody else, there's levels. There are places where jealousy is appropriate. Don't get me wrong, but we all know that super jealous person checking somebody's phone, having a problem with you having a conversation with somebody of the other sex, having a problem with you going out with your friends, trying to control you, to control what you wear, control where you go, and all
Mm.
that. That is a giant red flag, and you need to run. Those are the situations where I think there's a real chance of it turning abusive, physically, emotionally. I would always recommend somebody to run from this extreme jealousy. Another huge red flag,
Mm.
avoidant behavior. If you want a real relationship and you're dating this avoidant type, um, you're kidding yourself. And this can be, again, I see this one thing in you that's really, really great. And if you could just get over your avoidant behavior, then we would be amazing. It's not your job to fix that. I think be real honest with your communication. This is not working for me. I'm going to walk away. You clearly have some healing to do, but I'm not going to facilitate that. If you meet this really amazing person that you think has all this potential, tell that person, I feel there's an amazing connection here. You have this stuff that you need to work with, and I can't do that for you. So I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be dating and I'm going to have a good time. And maybe I will meet the love of my life. And maybe not. And maybe you go heal yourself and then we can talk.
You talked a little bit about the avoidant. What kind of people typically attract the avoidant person?
There always tend to be this strange relationship between anxious attachment and avoidant attachment, doesn't it? Which is so sick, really. It's always the one with an anxious attachment just chasing this avoidant person, and it just goes back and forth. And I always see the most unhealthy relation ever because it just ignites both people's deep traumas from childhood. That the anxious attachment is this chasing this, please love me, please love me, please love me, please love me, and the avoidant removing from it, but still actually liking it, liking that being chased, which is why it's interesting with the avoidant behavior. When the one with anxious attachment finally walks away from the relationship, the one with avoidant will always come back after them.
Wow.
Always come back. It's like, hey,
Like a tug of war, essentially.
it's a tug of war. Yes, it's so toxic and unhealthy.
What are some signs of healthy relationships that you've seen or experienced yourself?
Honesty and really clear communication. When you have the confidence within yourself to say out loud what you want and what you're looking for, and you stop playing games, it becomes really, really powerful. And that's when you can really find your person. And that also means, yeah, you might get some rejection. It's the true you you're putting forward.
Yeah, I think communication is such a big one. How has
Yeah.
communication helped you in your personal relationships, and how have you seen it work opposite with very little or bad communication?
I have amazing communication in my current relationship. We keep it very real, and my current relationship is extremely uncomplicated, really. If we have an issue, we say it and we talk about it. We never really argue as such. It's a conversation. It's like, hey, this is making me feel this way. And the other person is normally, oh, I did not realize that. I will change my behavior because I certainly don't want you to feel that way. Or it's, I understand this makes you uncomfortable, but this is something I have to do. It's just a conversation. It's not as this argument, vomiting of insecurity upon each other. I certainly think that is such an important part. And lack of communication before I actually kind of really got on the dating market. I was in a very casual relationship for about a year and a half,
Mhm.
and it was what it was. It was perfect for the time. I wasn't healed. I wasn't in a place where I was ready to actually get deep and commit with somebody. So it worked. It was fine. But this was a man who was very much not emotionally available or ready to be emotionally intimate. It was just this complete lack of really talking about our feelings and how we function together. And we got away with it because it was so casual. So it never really ended in drama because it was so casual, but it's just kind of like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It worked, but I think it was a great stepping stone for me because it really allowed me a breathing space to find myself.
I like how you said that it was a good breathing space. Like you weren't so hung up to the point, like, we're going to make this work no matter what. It was like,
Oh
it
no.
was good for the moment. Us as humans, we all go through phases in all areas of our lives. And I think even after, like for me personally, like I was in a really unhealthy marriage. For me, it's learning what nice people are like, which is sounds kind of crazy. I had the avoidant, the emotionally unavailable, the gaslighter, the love bomber, all of them in one person. Even though I started to meet people after him, it wasn't anything for the long run. It was little fillers here and there, but they were
Yeah.
teaching me what nice people were like.
And I think it's
Go
so
ahead.
important to have those. It was interesting because I literally had this conversation 2 days ago, and I was talking to somebody who had been married like 15 years ago. She was married to this guy who was, I hate throwing this word around, but a narcissist.
Yeah.
I mean, wild. Um, Over the last 15 years, he actually been in a couple of like really long relationships, like living together, and ended up leaving these relationship because he was bored, really. We were looking back at these relationship and she came to this realization. This is how long it took for her to heal. And she needed to be with these lovely, kind human beings. And she was. And it's like these relationships had, these were good men. They were lovely and treated her well. And she really needed just to understand what a normal, healthy human being was. And it took that long to actually rewire her brain to even know what she wanted, or being able to pick what she wanted. Functional, healthy man to really rewire her brain. And it took that long. So I think it's totally valid. It may sound like it's like, okay, well, then you're using that person. But I don't think so, because I don't think you don't go into the relationship with the idea it's like, oh, this is someone I'm just going to use for a couple of years because he's nice. That's not what I'm saying you should do. But I think you go into a relationship with it's like, oh, this person is lovely. But looking back 5 years later, however long you're with this person, you can look back and it's like, it was part of the journey. That was part of my healing process being with this person.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's all part of the healing process, whether you're going to be with that person in the long term or not.
Yeah.
Every person plays such a vital role in your dating journey and your healing journey as well to teach you self love. I oftentimes like to think to myself that if we come across somebody who has narcissistic traits, and it happens more times than often, but if that person is put in your life, they're there to teach you a lesson or two. And you
Yeah.
should never be upset when you get that kind of person in your life, but you should also be aware. What's your perspective and take on that?
I love that so much. I think it is, and it's a mental attitude, isn't it? Like when we are in a relationship and that relationship fails, we tend to feel like complete failures, especially marriages, by the way, because we're taught it's like you get married once and that's your person and you're supposed to be married for life. And if you get divorced, you are a failure. And I really think, oh God, we need to move away from that. I hate that so much because marriage was invented for like when we died when we were 40, by the way. So let's get real. Most people evolve in different directions and grow apart, and that is okay. When you can learn to look even at nasty experiences, nasty relationships, when you can learn to switch your mindset on that, and instead of feeling, oh my God, that was horrible, 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 saying like, wow, I learned all that. That's when you switch from victimhood to evolving, which I think is a huge step in being able to go into a future healthy relationship.
Victim mode to evolving. That is so huge. A lot of times it's so easy for us to get caught in the victim mentality. Oh, this happened
Yes.
because this person did this to me, or I'm acting like this because this person treated me not right. We need to try to find the lessons more in the negative situations instead of saying,
So
why
much.
me?
This, I mentioned this in my book where I'm talking about it's like if you're one of those, there are no good people on the dating app and everybody is a psycho or whatever. My one question is always like, or one statement is always like, you are the only common denominator here.
Mm-hmm.
So, of all these people that you gone on shitty dates with, you are the only common denominator. So instead of lashing out and saying everybody else are crazy, everybody's psycho, you need to turn that inwards and being like, why do I keep picking these people? why am I attracted to these people? Why are these people attracted to me? Because generally, healthy people tend to pick healthy people, by the way. It's the same with like I hear this again, like men love crazy ladies, men love crazy women. And I'm like, no, unhealed men like crazy women. That's the truth. So if you are acting crazy, yeah, you are going to attract unhealed men.
I just want to say thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
I like Thank you for saying that because I've come across some people and they always joke. They're like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just like the crazy ones." No, it's not
Mhm.
that. It goes
That's
back.
about you then.
I don't think it works like that because it always goes back to heal people, hurt
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
Unhealed people attract crazy people, and healed people attract calm people. So it's
Right.
just like awareness.
A lot of unhealed men, they think that crazy is the only way they can get this passion.
Yeah.
They don't think you can get that, like, if you can have a healthy, uncomplicated, lovely, calm relationship and have amazing passion, which, by the way, to all the guys out there, yes, you actually can. And it's amazing and it's magical because, on top of all that passion, you also have this beautiful vulnerability. And that's when you are suddenly in a relationship that steps up to that next level that you didn't actually know existed.
This thought has been pondering on my mind a few times. When somebody is used to being in like a chaotic relationship and then they come across a calm relationship, they think it's going to be boring. Is it going to be boring or is it going to be calm? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think it can be interpreted as boring. And again, it's like it's a process of rewiring your brain, because I
Okay.
think when you are used to being in very chaotic, unhealthy relationship, you are mostly living. It's like when we're all like we're walking around on eggshells and all that. We are in fight or flight. Our nervous system is living in fight or flight in this relationship. And unfortunately, we start interpreting the signs of being in fight or flight with love and passion. We
Mm.
think it's love and passion. We're like, I feel this inside of my body. It's like, no, it's your nervous system in complete flight or fight mode, and you're anxious and you're stressed. But you start interpreting that as like, I'm in love, which is so fucked up. But we do. We recognize that because if we've been in a long relationship that felt like that, then that's the only thing we know. So it takes time to rewire your brain and your body to recognize this fight or flight feeling as something not good, as that is not passion, that is not love. You're feeling inside of you. That feeling in your chest is not love, it's anxiety. And that takes time. It takes the understanding of what it is. Like, I feel anxious right now. I don't feel in love.
Thank you for elaborating on that because I think it's going to help a lot and answer a lot of questions that like a lot of people do have because I know
Yeah.
sometimes like I'll talk with my friends and they'll be like, why isn't things moving faster with this person and blah blah blah. I think a healed man will want to take things slow, and someone who is serious, they're going to want to take their time and think things through instead of just rushing to the love bombing, because I think a lot of us are used to the love bombing, and that's actually
Yes.
a really dangerous place. If you meet a guy and he doesn't text you immediately, that's okay. Give it a couple days, in my opinion, because when the love bombing comes, it's going to come, and then they're going to pull it away. And they're going to expect you to come chasing after them for it when it shouldn't be like that, because then it also
No,
creates that anxiety.
absolutely. And that's also like one thing I certainly uh, kind of forced myself to do when I was dating was I don't chase. It's not my job to chase. I'm not going to do it. It doesn't mean if somebody texts me, I'm not playing by some kind of game book where it's like, oh, I will not text back for 3 hours or whatever people think you should do. No, if you text me, I will reply immediately, but I'm not going to chase you. It's that simple. You are either interested or you're not. And if you're not interested in texting me back, you can trust that I am going on dates with other people. It's like it's
Mhm.
that simple. It takes a time to train your brain to do this,
Yeah.
but you got to allow space for someone to step in and actually be interested in you.
That is 100% true. I love how you said that. So, before we go ahead and wrap things up, what is one piece of advice that you'd love to share with the audience, whether it's something we covered or haven't covered yet, when it comes to online dating or the dating journey itself?
I think my main advice is never lose who you are. Online dating, it is not about getting as many people to like your profile as possible. It is about consciously going and looking for the person who's right for you. To be honest, that is a beautiful thing about online dating, because if you meet somebody in a bar, you have to actually go through a lot more steps and emotions before you find out basic things that you need in a relationship. You can really actually weed out a lot of things if you use the apps as a tool. I think a lot of us approach online dating as this magic box that's just going to like give you your person. And we need to stop treating it like that and treating it as a tool along the road. It doesn't mean that when you meet somebody, you're going to have a connection or not. It, it just means that you can weed out all these things before even doing that chemistry check. And that's a really cool tool, by the way, that we didn't have before dating apps, but we should use it as such and not expect this app to magically conjure up the man of your dreams.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everything, Nina. This has been so wonderful. Can you tell us where can people find you, find your book, and support you?
You can find Fck Kissing Frogs on Amazon and literally Google me, Nina Jarnum, and I'm on Instagram and all the other social medias. So yes, I'm easy to find.
Amazing. I'll have it all linked down below in the show notes so people can stay in touch with you. Thank you so much, Nina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Nourished Inside Out. I'm so thankful that you're here. Your support means so much, and I'm so excited to bring to you our very first Nourished Inside Out live virtual summit on April 26th and 27th. We have an incredible lineup of speakers, and pre sale for tickets will be for a limited time. You can find the link in the show notes below for more information. See you there. And as always, keep growing and thriving.